This week, the Detroit City Council will hold a public hearing on a proposed 4-day curfew for the River Days Festival and the annual fireworks show.
Detroit police proposing a curfew now for anyone under 18 from 8 p.m. through 6 a.m. from Thursday, June 19th through Sunday, June 21st. This would impact the downtown area, specifically between the Detroit River and I-375, and then from the Lodge to Shane. And on Monday, the actual night of the annual fireworks show, Detroit police want to have a citywide curfew for people under 18 from 6 p.m. till 6 a.m. Now, there would be some exceptions here for the kids who have to go to work and school.
Right. This is slightly different than what was proposed last week, you may recall. That was a 4-day curfew starting at 6 o'clock. Still, the idea is causing some controversy. Nolan Finley tackled the issue in a powerful Detroit News column this weekend, suggesting that a curfew may not be the answer to keeping the event safe.
He began by saying when he went to the fireworks 2 years ago, he saw police taking a large group of teenagers into the paddy wagons, vans, and buses, noting they were mostly black. As this was happening, Nolan said he saw hundreds of white kids walking right past them with their parents, heading right toward the riverfront. So he wrote, "I know appearances can be deceiving, but the teens in the police vans didn't look like troublemakers. They didn't look any different than the kids on the outside of the vans, except for the color of their skin."
And they wanted the same thing, to be part of a festive evening and see some fireworks. What separated the two groups is that one had adults willing and able to accompany them downtown, and the other didn't.
Now, joining us now, the president of the Detroit branch of the NAACP, Reverend Dr. Wendell Anthony. We'll talk about that column from Nolan in just a second. But first of all, what do you think about this scaling back of that 4-day curfew to now a 3-day curfew?
Well, Stephen, first of all, thank you. And I think that it is still a process that needs to be really looked at and analyzed. So what we're really saying is that it's all right for you to be in your neighborhoods, but don't come downtown. That feeds into the narrative of two Detroits. We don't need that. There's a better way to do this. It's called community policing. It's called organizing with community groups, nonprofits, and businesses. It's called creating jobs and opportunities for young people. It's called keeping the rec centers open. It's called putting together a program that invites everybody as opposed to separating out certain select groups. This is a terrible proposal. I understand why the police want to keep things in order. I'm with that. That's a good thing to do. But this is not the way to do it. And I have to knock on wood. Nolan Finley and I don't often agree, Stephen, as you can imagine. But on this one, we are exactly on point. And I also want to say this. There are a number of African-American families, fathers and mamas, who do bring their children to the fireworks. We have folk coming from our church that go to the fireworks. So it's not just a group of black children or brown children running wild all around the riverfront. This is a proposal that still needs a process of development.
Yeah, let's get back to Nolan Finley's column, if we will, because he did say he had some interesting proposals himself that he put out there, getting to the idea of supervised kids coming down there. He said instead of focusing on getting the bad people out, flood the parks with good people. The theory here is that troublemakers don't want to do bad things around good people. So he says, let's engage the best people in our city to connect with 4 or 5 kids each and bring them downtown for a special experience. Is that something, Reverend Anthony, that you would get behind, that type of an effort to get people to chaperone kids, to have them come down and enjoy this wonderful event?
Well, suggested in that comment, and certainly I support that kind of thinking, is that does not already occur. It does occur. There are families who make this a tradition every year. It needs to be taken much broader than what Nolan is saying. It needs to have its root in opportunities for children, not just for the fireworks and for the River Days, but all during the course of the summer. Detroit has not gone by way of Ferguson or Baltimore. We don't need that. This escalates as opposed to de-escalating. It shows a division between the police and the community at large. Why should Detroiters, young people, be the only ones that are subject to this kind of a put down? Do we shut down Ann Arbor when the University of Michigan? Do we shut down East Lansing when Michigan State University and they don't win a championship, or they win one and you see rioting in the street by thousands of students? Would they throw out couches, burn up cars in the street? No, they don't do that. Why should we do that here in Detroit? I think there's a better way to do it. Let's have a media campaign. Let's keep it safe in Detroit. Let's have businesses and churches and nonprofits to work together to resolve this. Let's do more community policing in terms of walking and talking to the young people. Let's have the rec centers open in extended time periods so our young people have a place to go. I don't want to see Detroit come by way of McKinney, Texas, which is what's being flooded on our airways today, where a young teenage girl is being beat down on the streets in Texas. We know, as Nolan said it, I've seen it too, what you're going to see if this goes through are young black and brown children in handcuffs on the streets, on the sidewalks, been put in paddy wagons, taken to the police station, which scars the thinking and the relationship between the police and the students and the children at large. I think there's a better way to do it, and let's try to implement that.
Dr. Wendell Anthony, we want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I think the headline here is that you and Nolan Finley agree on something right now.
Thank you, Steve.
And we will obviously keep an eye on this, and we just do hope that everybody takes very seriously this and makes it a fun and exciting event for everybody.
And if there is a curfew in place, that parents do indeed take their kids down so they can still get out and enjoy this wonderful evening. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
All right.